Alright, what's up guys, it's Zero here, and today we've got some pretty big news for Vanguard Zero. Uh, Earlier today, or wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone you're in, they released a a notice for nerfs and a quote-unquote ban list in Zero. So, if you haven't already heard, the decks that are being, there's 2 cards that are being nerfed and 3 decks that are getting a choice restrict. So first off, the first nerf is to Kagero, and to nobody's surprise, it is Mr. Dragonic Overlord the Cross. So the nerf to this card is now for his on Legion skill, where you search a copy of a card on your Vanguard. It now costs a discard 1 to it, and the other card that is being nerfed is Narukami's Big Bang Knuckle Buster, the latest Legion that got. And his nerf is that he no longer draws you a card when you use the skill to put a Big Red Knuckle into Soul. So he no longer refunds himself when he refunds the cost when you pay for a skill, and so it is actually a -1 now. So basically, they took away the buff that they gave him in Zero. And now for the choice restricts. So Kagero now has a choice restrict between Overlord the Cross, as well as the Grom. So where is he? This card? The on play Soul Blast 2 draw. Actually, no, never mind. It's not with. It's the choice restrict is actually with Dragonic Overlord at the end. Is with Mr. The End. So the old card and Grom, not the Cross. It's with the Grom in the end. But essentially, for the sake of this deck, it's the same thing, because if you're playing the Cross, you need to play the end for the mate. So it might as well be with the Cross. They basically just don't want you playing Grom within that deck. So yeah, the other choice restrict is Narukami with Big Bang Knuckle Buster, as well as the actually, let me make sure. I actually do not remember which card these are choice restrict. I just know that you can't play them in okay, yeah. So this is also actually with the other card. This is actually with Big Bang Knuckle Dragon, the original one. And the green one that's restricted with is the Rising Phoenix, the Soul Blast 2 draw one. So as you see, very similar choice restricts here, being that like the supplementary grade 3 in the deck that you basically were forced to play anyway is choice restricted with the card that's like a Soul Blast 2 do something. And finally, the last choice restrict is the Bermuda Triangle. For the duo deck. So the Nemuel is now choice restricted with the Kura, the Soul Blast 2, the Counter Charge 2. And so these are all the nerfs, and these are all the choice restricts. I'll just go over the implications of why I think what this does to the deck. So first off, since we're already here, Bermuda, I think this is a very light slap on the wrist to them. Like, this basically Bushi's or Game Studio saying, we know this deck is obnoxious as hell. We know this deck that if we left this deck unchecked, people would be mad about it, and they probably want to see something to do about it, because if you nerf the other 2 decks, this deck will probably come back up if you win the better decks in the meta. Still is a pretty good deck even after the nerfs, because honestly speaking, as long as you use Nemuel and Vepr as long as you duplicate Vepr first, you can just keep refunding your cost anyways. So you not really losing much on that there, and your new Soul Blast out, you just play the Urel instead, the Soul Blast 2 draw one. So honestly, I think this deck got away really lightly. I don't think the nerfs do too much to it. I think this deck is still very playable, still very good. It just kind of lost counter charges, which is like mildly obnoxious for the deck. Like, you have to budget your counter a little bit better now, but realistically speaking, these nerfs don't do too much to this deck. I think this deck duos are still a very, very powerful deck, and still very, very good. But unfortunately, that cannot be the same said about the Cross. I honestly think this deck is dead now. I don't think this deck is good at all anymore. I don't think the nerf to the Cross actually does anything. I think that if anything, it helps the deck, because you're going overhand anyways. You just use the skill at the cost there to just dump out the stuff you don't need your hand, so you don't go overhand when you draw too many cards, which does happen quite often. So I actually don't think that the nerf to the Cross does much of anything. I think it's there just to be there, I guess. But the Cross losing out on the ability to play Grom in the deck is absolutely huge. Before, I've said this a lot of times before, I think Grom was the problem card of the deck. You removed the Grom, and now the deck is suddenly no longer a problem, because the deck just isn't good anymore without it. The reason why Grom was so good is because it lets you continuously loop your legions and to make sure you had Mate's Legion with every turn. The cross had to put back 2 grabs so you could re-legion, as well as being the counter charge for that. I mean, you did have to clog your Great Slots and stuff like Bellicosity to get your fuel, because one use of the cross and then one use of Grom after that is instantly another turn of doing Dode again, or just searching the cross for a re-legion on the following turn. So Grom is what fueled the loop for this deck, that just let it keep on going and going, and let you outgrind every single deck, because you basically never ran out of resources until like really late into the game. You always had 4 dry checks, so you had always a very high chance to heal after you put them back. And the Soul Blast plus the counter charge just made sure that the deck had the gas to keep going every single turn. So you lose out on literally the thing that made the deck good. So I definitely don't think the cross is good at all anymore. And definitely no longer the best deck. Definitely not, and probably not even the best Kagero deck anymore. So very, very big nerfs to the deck. Yeah, who knew, right? Like the one broken card in the deck, take it away and the deck suddenly just sucks now. You probably have like other ways to play around it, and you probably play like other Soul Blast outs and like other counter chargers, but like the deck will definitely no longer be as good as it used to be. Like not even close. So yeah. And then finally, the implications to the Brawler nerfs. I think this deck is also dead. Part of the reason why Baby Knuckle Buster was so good is because it refunded its own cost, meaning you never had to go neg for it. You put one into Soul, you got the free crossroad base, you punch the entire board, and you drew one back. So it was very, very nice. It was very, very good. Very cost efficient, because this deck doesn't actually plus that much, and now it doesn't plus at all because you took away the Rising Phoenix as well. So yeah, this deck definitely will struggle for hand now without a doubt, because you're going neg 1 every turn to use the punch board skill, and you will also on your main source of Soul Blast outlet just to make Legion easier, and to as well as losing out on your only source of plussing in the deck. So yeah, I also think this deck is dead because of all those aforementioned things. You will, because the deck already before struggling for hand, now to some degree now you will definitely struggle for hand. Losing out on your Soul Blast out and your main outlet to make Legion super easy also doesn't help the deck either. You also just can't choose to not play the Baby Knuckle Dragon, because otherwise then you'd only have 3 total targets you can put into Soul. So yeah, I think this deck is very dead now. I think the deck is done. I don't think you should be even remotely be playing this deck anymore. And yeah, there's that. And so that's it for what I think about the nerfs and what I think about the choice restrictions. So there is one more thing I want to go over, is that why I think they are doing this. And there are a few reasons, actually. I think the very first one is quite obvious. We are in G era now, and all the dominant decks right now are all Legion decks. The Cross, Legion deck. Brawlers, Legion deck. Duos, although they weren't probably on the same level as those other 2 decks, or they are like, let's say a little over, it's still a Legion deck. The only deck that wasn't a Legion deck that was like pretty okay was like Gears, and that was basically it. They definitely want to sell their shiny new GRs, and people just kept playing these old decks that basically didn't require GRs, because Brawlers don't even have GRs yet. The Duos can basically always just triple rares now. The Cross did need its G-Zone, but the deck was still relatively cheap to build compared to everything else. Even Studio is a company, they want to sell their shiny new toys, so people actually buy into it and don't just play the same Legion deck for like 3 months in a row. So that's one reason. The other reason is CS is coming up. CS I think is at the end of this month. They definitely do not want the representation rate to be like over 50% Kagero, and then like filled with, and then like Naru's after that, somehow like duos or like Gears and stuff. They definitely want some more diversity. They definitely do not want. They definitely want people playing G decks to show out the Shred mechanics, stuff like that. So that's another reason. And honestly, I feel like Game Studio is honestly just saying, we are tired of Legion. We realize Legion is a broken mechanic, and we're going to fix the issue now. So even though I love Kagero, I love Overlord, but I absolutely think these nerfs were needed to some degree. So I think that's very good. Although I will say, this is honestly a very bad move for the free-to-play players, or the players that, the free-to-play players, because G decks are actually very, very expensive. It's basically only GRs, and GRs are like mad expensive to craft. They are very hard to get. And now they're basically saying, we're going to take away all these free-to-play decks, and we're going to make you go into these new boxes, which I think is absolutely really bad. I honestly think they do probably should make the GRs cheaper to craft overall, because if they don't, free-to-play players are going to be in a not very fun state in the game. They're going to be very mad, or they're just not going to have fun because their decks are just going to be straight worse than everyone else's. And they'll end up in a situation where they just don't want to play anymore because their deck sucks compared to everyone else's, and they can't keep up. So yeah, I definitely do think that the nerfs were warranted. I definitely do think that the nerfs are just and that they should be here. Although I do think they should probably do something about GRs to make it slightly more accessible to other people. Just because you know, they're gonna kill off these old decks, these like old decks people are already playing, because they're using those old decks to build up gems and resources to get to these new G decks. You just took them away from them now, and now they're going to have a lot harder time actually climbing ladder for said resources. So I definitely do think that they should probably address something about it, because if they keep doing this where like, oh, these old decks people are playing that are good for months on end, they're just going to kill them off now, so you're forced to buy the new stuff. I definitely do think that that's not a very healthy business practice. I definitely think that that will be a big turnoff for people, so I definitely do want to see something addressed with that. That's like a slightly different topic. But overall, I do think these nerfs are warranted. I think they are nice to have. I think it will offer more diversity into the game, just because you won't be playing against the cross every other game, and you'll actually let the other Kagura deck shine, being Blade Master. That deck might actually be good now, because the cross is no longer just the dominant force in the deck. So yeah, in the clan. So yeah, that's it for this video. That's it for my thoughts. Tell me what you think about these nerfs. Do you like them? Do you think they're warranted? Are you mad if you're a free-play player? So yeah, tell me all that down below in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.